Hey film class. All right, I'm actually pretty excited about today. We're going to be looking at documentary short films. And I think what you're going to find out about documentary short films is that they can be really interesting. Even if the subject sounds ridiculous, there's something about the reality of it. There's something about the nature of documentaries that can be very compelling. Now, of course, there's bad documentaries, just like there's bad any other kind of film. But if you can find a good one, if you can find one that is well done, if the story is told well, it really doesn't matter what the story is. It can be really compelling. And so we're going to try and find out why. The essential question for our investigation today is, why do documentary films work? And I suppose at the same time, we're going to find out why they might not work. And it's not going to have anything to do with the subject. It's going to have more to do with the camera and the storytelling. So in order to do this, we have to isolate some of the elements that are unique to documentaries. And to do that, we're going to watch a short documentary and then note different aspects of this short documentary. So we're going to start with one called Delusions in Modern Primitivism. The link is here. You'll watch it after you watch this video. Now, in this documentary, there are two technical aspects that I would like you to be aware of as you're watching the film. The first one is a loose camera. What a loose camera means is that the filmmaker isn't sure where the subject's going to be going. This isn't scripted film. There isn't blocking where an actor moves to this mark and then to this mark. So the camera has to move to capture what is happening in front of it. And there often aren't multiple cameras on a documentary shoot, so it's not like you can cut to a different angle. You have to swing the camera to try to capture the action as it's happening. And so there's going to be jump cuts, there's going to be a loose camera, like the visuals of documentary film are distinctive. The second aspect I want you to be aware of as you're watching documentary film is the inconsistency of the sound. Just like the camera has to move to capture what's happening, typically the microphone is going to be mounted either on or near the camera. So as the subjects move further away from the camera, the sound becomes less distinct. If they're in an open area, it might become a little more echoey. And then as the camera gets closer to the subject, you're going to be able to hear it better and you're going to have less of that echo. So you can tell that this is documentary because of the visual elements, the loose camera and the jump cuts, and the audio elements, the inconsistency of the sound, how sometimes it's really distinct and other times it's difficult to hear. Now, there are two storytelling elements of documentary that I would also like you to take note of. One is the use of interview grabs. Interview grabs are where you have a subject and you're asking that subject questions and they're replying to the camera. Now, very often you don't hear the questioner ask the question. You just hear the subject reply, because the documentary isn't about the documentary filmmaker, it's about the subject. So you'll hear them talking about different things. They're actually responding to questions that you often don't hear, but you'll hear them talking about different things related to the story, or related to the subject. And that actually is what composes the story. Oftentimes, when you're making a documentary, you're starting with these interviews, and you're using it to map out the linear progression of the film. Now, on top of these interview grabs, there's going to be something called B-roll. B-roll is where you have actual live footage of something. And in documentaries, there's really two types of B-roll. There's live, authentic B-roll, and then there's recreations. Sometimes those recreations are artistic, and sometimes they're simulations that are meant to try to show it with as much reality as possible. You would use a live B-roll if the event is occurring. If it's something that's going on right now and you're on the scene and you're there and you can capture it, that's live B-roll. If we're talking about a historical event or if someone's recounting a memoir, then you are probably going to rely on B-roll that is either recreated artistically or recreated in a simulation that's meant to be realistic. Now, B-roll can also take the form of still images. If you have Polaroids from or photographs from, or archival footage. So if there was a news crew on the scene for it, you can use that as well. All of that is B-roll. Now, oftentimes the pattern goes like this. You have the interview grab that sets up the event, that the small event that is the first part of your storytelling. Then while the person is still speaking, you cut to the B-roll. So that what you have then is synchronous non-diegetic sound, because you're going to have the person who's telling you the story still offering the sound, but then you cut to the images that show the event, either recreated or as they were captured by a news crew, or as you captured as a documentary filmmaker while you were there. And then after that B-roll plays out, and that B-roll is going to reinforce what your subject is saying. And then typically you'll go back to the subject at the end to let them sort of cap off whatever the point is that you're trying to make about that segment of the film. So interview grab, into B-roll, back to interview grab. And that pattern's pretty common. What varies, like I said, is the quality or the nature of the B-roll. Are they still images? Are they archival footage? Is it recreated, or is it an actual event you've captured? So here's what I want your film log to look like. On the left side of your film log, I want you to record the element of documentaries that you are capturing, and you'll have a template for this. So where is there a loose camera? Where is there a jump cut? Where is there inconsistent sound? Where is there an interview grab? Where is there B-roll? And then on the right-hand side, an example of that. So this scene, that's the loose camera. This scene, that's the inconsistent sound. This scene, that's the jump cut. So you're applying your knowledge of cinematic technique to your understanding of the style of documentaries. Then, I would also like you to look for the interview grabs and the B-roll. One example of an interview grab, one example of B-roll. So, Delusions in Modern Primitivism. This is a short film designed to let you into the world of body art, I guess. And so while you're watching this, try not to freak out too much. It's a little unusual, I will agree. Read the disclaimer at the beginning. They clearly say, please don't do this at home. But yeah, go ahead and watch this, chronicle the elements of documentary that you see, and we'll talk about it when you're done. All right, the link will be right after this lesson, and then when you come back, we'll talk about the documentary again. All right, thanks.